Hello and welcome to the very first episode of The Last Lap. My name is Jimmy and this is my friend Matthew. Um, we're starting this up just to try and get a head start on a possible career in NASCAR, and you got to start somewhere. So we're starting this YouTube channel, just bringing you guys the latest news and updates for the races each weekend, and possibly a video later in the week with our predictions for the race each week. Matt, if you want to go ahead and tell them a little bit about yourself, go ahead.
All right. So, like I said, my name is Matthew Bent. I'm at Liberty University right now, and we both go to different colleges, so that's why we're in this format right now. I'm studying to be a part of aviation administration, safety management, but I still hope to be NASCAR on the business side, whether it's for a team, whether it's for a track, or for the NASCAR corporation itself.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, like he said, I'm in Virginia Beach and he's in Lynchburg, so it's about a 4-hour gap. And Zoom is all we have right now, and so we're just gonna roll with it. So what we're gonna do in this episode is we're gonna talk about the race recap, just a little brief race recap, and then we're gonna briefly go over all 4 championship contenders for the Truck Series, Xfinity Series, and Cup Series. And then we're going to have a conversation about this NASCAR playoff format, because there's definitely a lot of controversy this week around it. And we're going to discuss our opinions about that. So first of all, we're going to go into the race recap. Matthew's going to talk about that, and he's going to pick it up in stage 2 when there's a major turn of events.
And the biggest development was when Kevin Harvick, and I think it was stage 2, cut a tire from Matt Kenseth with contact, and I sent him 2 laps down, but a caution came out, was able to get the free pass to be a 1 lap down, but he had to, basically almost the whole race, they had to try to climb their way up to be the free pass car, and then they were able to get the last caution, they were able to get the free pass, get back on the lead lap, and basically try to pick up as many more spots as they can.
I'm going to pause you right there, because that was a really interesting part of the race, because Harvick was 2 laps down, and every time he got back to 1 lap down, and after that he would be in the free pass, but then the leaders would catch up to that one car. I don't remember who it was, but the leaders would catch him every time and lap him and put Harvick out of the free pass position. And that was just a cycle. It just kept happening and happening and happening. Harvick, he seemed like he couldn't catch a break getting back to the lead lap, but he can continue.
All right. So like I said, Harvick and also Keselowski was also in the back of the field because he sped on pit road penalty. And they both were basically marching up to the front. And so that became a battle between that last transfer spot, Harvick and Keselowski. And then not shortly after that, Mark Truex Jr. ended up with a loose wheel, basically cost him in. Next thing you know, his vibration got worse and worse until he had to pit, ending his hopes and chances. And then at the towards the end, Denny Hamlin, who was actually being safe until the end of the race. His car got worse and worse and worse. And he saw the playoff grid, he was only 2 points to the good. So in the final lap, it was basically 1 point difference between Hamlin, Keselowski, and Kevin Harvick. Chase Elliott ended up winning the race, locking himself into the championship 4 for the first time in his career. Probably not be the last. Also, another big development from that last lap was when Kevin Harvick basically dumped Kyle Busch in turn 4, causing both of them to spin. Kyle ended up saving the car and continuing to finish, I think, top 10, while Kevin Harvick basically backed in the wall, costing him all the spots and costing him a chance to get into the championship 4 in Phoenix.
Yeah, those last, I would say, 50 laps were pretty intense, and even to add on to the anxiety of the race, Chase Elliott, he had two bad pit stops in the final 115 laps or so that set him back in the field, back about 10th or 12th, and he had to make his way through the field twice in order to pass Truex and get the lead back. So that just shows a bunch of resiliency from him. And so with that race recap, we're going to go over the final four for each series really quick. We're going to make our predictions later this week, but we're just going to showcase the final four right now. So in the trucks, we have Sheldon Creed, Grant Enfinger, Brett Moffitt, and Zane Smith. And Xfinity, we have Chase Briscoe, arguably the favorite because he's won 9 races, I think, this year so far, just like Kevin Harvick in the Cup Series, who didn't make the Final Four. But in Xfinity, we have Chase Briscoe. Oh, go ahead.
The only SHR card with 9 wins to making the championship 4.
In Xfinity, we got Chase Briscoe, Justin Allgaier, Justin Haley, and Austin Cindric. And then from last night in the Cup race, we have Joey Logano, Chase Elliott, who clinched on a win. Brad Keselowski and Denny Hamlin both clinched on points. And as you said, came down to the final lap. So obviously with these points and how this race ended up last night, a lot of people have mixed opinions on this current playoff format. So I'm just going to go over all the types of points that have happened in the past. So back before 2004, all the way up until 2004, it was just however many races, and whoever got the most points at the end of the season won the championship. And then in 2004, they introduced the quote-unquote chase format, where they basically restarted the season with the last 10 races, and whoever had the most points at the end of those 10 races was the champion. And that lasted until the end of 2013. And then at the start of 2014, they introduced this whole playoff format where there's different rounds and you can advance the next round if you win and all of that. And actually, the change to that in 2016, I think, is when they added the playoff points and the stage points and all these different ways you can get points. Oh, 17? Sorry, 2017. So what they have right now is starts with 16 drivers. There's three round races, 3 sets of 3 races, and then the final race determines the champion. And basically, if you win, you advance to the next round, and then the other people get through on points. So this format kind of gets rid of consistency in a way, but it also keeps consistency. So go ahead, let me hear your thoughts.
Well, for what I've seen, I'm just not really a fan of it. I'm just going to be honest. I'm just not a fan of it. I mean, I've given this format many, many years to try to warm up to it, trying to at least try to enjoy it. There's just so much inconsistency that's going on. There's just so much controversy that goes on almost every year with this format in all 3 series. For example, 2014, Ryan Newman, 0 wins, then almost wins the championship by finishing 2nd at Homestead.
So does this mean for your view on this playoff format, is it just the one that started in 2014 or all the way back in 2004?
2014, the whole elimination format.
Okay, so when they started eliminating people in 2014 with the rounds and stuff. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And also having and then 2015, as much as I hate to admit it, there was Kyle Busch. He missed 11 races that year, won the championship. Even though I hate to admit that, that's still kind of controversial. 2016, there was Jimmy Johnson. Even though people may say he deserved it, I mean, I think he probably deserves it, but there are some people who disagree that they think either Joey Logano or even Carl Edwards deserve that championship, all because of that they had on the restart. But that's people's opinions. 2017, that was actually the one time this didn't really make a difference because Martin Truex Jr. He was the dominant car that year, and he was the dominant car for the championship. It was him and Kyle Busch going head and head, the two best cars of the year. So that I did not have a problem that year, because I feel like that year they were the two that deserved it. 2018 was definitely one I really had a problem with, because it was the big three: Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, and Martin Truex Jr. They were the top three guys a year. They won basically more than half the races that season. And they don't even win, and none of them won the championship. Joe Logano did. So that was one I had a problem with myself. 2019, I didn't have a problem with that one either. I felt like Kyle Busch deserved that championship too. It was basically a Gibbs dominant year anyway, so either Hamlin, Truex, or Kyle basically deserved the championship, so I didn't have a problem with that one. But like I said, there's just so much controversy that goes on with this format that it's so like the fans so divided by it that it's just I just think it's made to a simpler format. Like go back to the 2004, 2006 playoff format. Like keep the playoffs, but instead of having 16 drivers, have it 10 or 12 drivers. Because I think 16 is too many drivers for a playoff list, for a lot of playoff drivers. And don't have all the elimination rounds or any of that. It'll be still based on points. That your regular season matters, but you still got to keep it up with a playoff format without, being screwed by one race, Well, I even got a way better example for why this format has gone on the deep end. 2019 last year, Matt Crafton in the Truck Series, he won the championship. How many races did he win? Not one, not two. No, he didn't win any. He won 0 races, and he still won the championship. Now, that part does not make sense to me. I don't know about you, Jimmy, but that really doesn't make any sense. You can go 0 races and win a championship. Really, my thoughts on it.
Yeah, those are all really good points. And the inconsistency is definitely there with this format because they changed it to the current format in 2014, and then they added all this other stuff in 2017 with playoff points and stage points and all that kind of stuff. But I'm kind of torn. I don't think it's fair for people like Kevin Harvick this year, who had 9 wins and he doesn't have a chance for a championship. But I also do think it is good for NASCAR to provide that competitive atmosphere for the fans, because there's been complaints about, the racing is too boring, and Jimmy Johnson clinched a championship 2 races before Homestead a few years ago while he won that 5P. And I think that NASCAR, they're doing a good job right now, but I also think that they need to keep it consistent and just not change anything else regarding points, because all these different changes are making the fans confused and making the fans love it and hate it and all of that. So I think they just need to keep it as it is right now. Just a few of my points are actually just for this year. The regular season champion for the first 26 races in the Trucks and the Cup Series didn't make it to the Final Four, Austin Hill and Kevin Harvick. Obviously, they did a good job in the regular season, and just in this round of 8, they just did not come to perform. And that's kind of towards your point where it isn't really fair that the regular season champion didn't advance to the Final Four. Now, this is kind of where I'm kind of like, it's kind of fair because Kevin Harvick did not perform in those 3 races. Like, obviously, in the past format, in 2004 to 2013, you could have 1 or 2 bad races and still have a chance at the championship. But, like, even then, if you have 1 or 2 bad races in the final 2 or 3 races of the year, you're probably not going to win that championship. That happened to Denny Hamlin in 2010, I think, at Homestead. He just didn't show up, and he had a bunch of problems and didn't win the championship because of it. And that wasn't even that he had to win; that was just normal points. So
and then Clint Boyer in 2012 and that whole Jeff Gore and Clint Boyer fiasco in Phoenix basically cost Clint Boyer the win the championship.
So I think
but
what
at
it really,
least they still had a shot, though.
yeah,
At least they still had a shot instead of a zero shot like this format. Like, you
yeah,
have
but
zero shot. Even if you have 9 wins, you can't do anything.
I think that the final 4 races decide a champion, and you have to perform those final 4 races. And Kevin Harvick, at Kansas, he finished second, which is good, and then he kind of screwed himself, to be honest, because at Texas, I had him winning that race and clinching into the final 4, and he just got too aggressive and hit the wall
But it
and
started
cost him all
raining.
his points.
No, it started raining. That's what happened. It was misting.
Yeah, but he still got. I think he was still being too aggressive. Anyways,
I mean, he wasn't the only one that had a problem.
He should have been less aggressive.
I mean, he was the only one that had a problem.
He should have won Texas and not had to worry about Martinsville, because him and Rodney Chars and all them knew Martinsville was going to be a tough race for them, and they didn't capitalize at Texas and win and put themselves in that position. And this is going to be my last point with this format. This format, since 2014, has produced some of the best racing in these final 10 races I've ever seen. Like, as a span of 10 races, this is the best racing I've ever seen, especially last night at Martinsville, with Chase Elliott being in the lead, pushing 2 of the top 2 drivers in the series to have to fight for that final spot. I mean, those final 50 to 100 laps were some of the best racing I've ever seen. So I think that it's working from the fact of a competitive standpoint, that the racing is a lot more competitive and the drivers are willing to do whatever it takes to win, which is really good. And it's incredible racing. But also at the same time, it kind of doesn't reward consistency, with Kevin Harvick having 9 wins, not having a chance to the championship. But I think, as a competitive standpoint, I think it's one of the best things NASCAR's ever done. But is it fair? Not necessarily. And as much as I hate to say it, life isn't fair sometimes. And in other sports, that's seen where other teams that have the best record don't win the championship and all that kind of stuff. So I think fans just need to adjust, and NASCAR needs to not change anything for now. Just keep it as it is. The racing is incredible, and that's all I got. So I don't know.
And by the way, Kevin Hart was supposed to win Kansas, but still have to pack hates too. So he should have won at Kansas too. If he won Kansas without that package, we wouldn't even be talking this. We wouldn't even be talking about Kevin Harvick not being in the Final 4.
Yep.
So there's a lot of contributing factors. Not only the aero package that everyone doesn't like, not only either you say being over aggressive, but I think it was the mist that got on the wall. And then Martinsville, basically, that one was being a little bit aggressive, again, its tire cut, and basically having to waste almost this whole race just trying to get back on the lead lap.
Yeah. I don't know. People are going to have their opinions, but I think NASCAR is just a consistency factor. NASCAR needs to just stay consistent, and once they keep it consistent, I think fans will eventually learn to adapt. But yeah, that's my final thoughts. Do you have any final thoughts?
Well, we'll be looking forward to see what it looks like at Phoenix, since that's going to be the first time they're hosting the championship race. It's a mile and a half. It's only, I think, a mile track. Not really necessarily a short track, but it's not necessarily a mile and a half. So it's going to be interesting, especially with how the start lines basically almost in between a turn. And also on the reasons when you going on by 5, 6 wide on that straightaway, which was formulated straightaway.
Yeah, and also to add on to that, I think.
And also, they're running 750 low spoiler horse. They're also racing that 750 horsepower package too, so that means it's going to be a good race. 'Cause that means they can actually pass and actually show their speed. So it's going to be interesting. Phoenix.
Yeah, and to kind of add on to that really quick, I think moving Martinsville to the cutoff race was also one of the best decisions NASCAR could have made as for changing up the schedule because, well, like I said, that was one of the best cutoff races I've ever seen just because of those last 50 laps and how close those three were at the end, trying to fight for every spot. And then seeing Kevin Harvick basically do almost everything he could to get that spot and come up short. I think it was just a phenomenal last 50 laps. So, all right. I think that's going to go ahead and wrap up this episode, this very first episode. A lot of controversy this week, and this is only just the beginning. Going into Phoenix, it's going to be 4 drivers, all I think with a very good chance to win that race and win the championship. So, thank you guys for watching, and we're going to have a link to our Instagram down below. Click it, check it out, read more about us in the first post that we introduce ourselves, tell us why we're doing this and all that kind of stuff. So subscribing would also be appreciated. Just share this with your friends and family. We're just 2 guys trying to make a career in NASCAR someday, and this is a start. You got to start somewhere. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.